Hello, so today in this particular session we are going to discuss that was in the news IAS Cadre Rules Change. So here we are going to discuss in this particular session what are those changes that is proposed by the central government and why state government, actually few state governments, they are opposing these changes and why central government need to propose these changes. All these things we are going to discuss in this particular session. So please keep watch till the end. So this is Legacy IAS Academy. I am Pawan Kant. So this was in the news basically. So what was the news? News was this proposed amendment of this IAS Cadre Rules 1954, changes against cooperative federalism that was called by Mamata Banerjee, the CM of West Bengal. So first important we need to understand what is cadre is actually. Cadre means, the thing is, when actually group of people belongs to the same skill, same background. So cadre basically terms coming from the military background. So that is cadre. So in Indian civil service perspective, cadre means state based. Like someone belongs to the UP cadre, someone belongs to the Karnataka cadre. So when someone said cadre, so it simply means the belongs to which state that IAS officer. So for example, if someone is from the Karnataka cadre, that means he is an IAS officer from the Karnataka state, correct? So that is cadre is. So now next thing we are going to discuss here is what is the current guidelines basically is. So current guidelines is this, he center every year actually ask the state for an offer list of the officers from the all India services, like for example IAS, IPS or Indian Forest Service, who are willing to go on the central deputation, after which it selects officers from that list. See, central government ke paas bhi there is a central secretariat is there. So central require one central staffing scheme that is known as CSS, Central Staffing Scheme. In the central staffing schemes, few officers they are adopted from the state level, because these all India service like IAS or IPS or IFOS, they are working in their respective cadre. So sometimes at the level of, for example, director level, deputy secretary level or the joint secretary level, central government also require those officers. From where central government will get those officers? Definitely central government will going to ask the state government to send their officers, those all India officers, they need to work there in the central government, correct? So this current guidelines, this is written under this rule number 6 of this rules 1954, कि a cadre officer may, with the concurrence of the state government, see, with the concurrence of the state government only, and the central government be deputed for service under the central government. This is the current actually procedure is. The central government will ask, then those IAS officers or IPS officers or IFOS officers, those who are willing to work as a deputed officers on the central government level, they will give their nominations. State government will going to give the no objection certificate. Then at the given time and date, they will join the central government. This is the normal procedure. But it has been seen that the state government is not ready to relieve their IAS officers or IPS or IFOS officers. Okay. And because of that, there is a shortage happened under the central staffing schemes, and that is the reason is there is shortage happened at the level of director, at the level of deputy secretary, at the level of joint secretary. And because of that reason is we have seen recently the central government started working with this lateral entry, correct? Lateral entry at the level of director and as well as at the level of joint secretary. So lateral, what is the lateral entry? We will discuss in some another video. So this is the present scenario is. So because of this new proposed happened, state governments are not ready. For example, 6 state government, they have opposed this amendment. For example, Kerala government is saying that they are going to oppose this central proposal to amend this IAS Cadre Rules because it is going against the cardinal principles of the federalism. Same Mamata Banerjee of West Bengal also saying the same thing. It is against the cooperative federalism. Some other states also not ready for it. So first we need to understand what are those proposed amendments are there. So there are 4 proposed amendments are there to rule number 6. Rule number 6 already we have discussed. So these are the some amendments are there that central government is asking. First amendment is this, कि if the state government delay posting a state cadre officer to the center and does not give effect to the central government decision within the specified time, the officer shall stand relieved from the cadre from the date as may be specified by the central government. Simple meaning is, if central government is asking the state cadre officer to work for the center, but if state government failed to provide no objection certificate, if state government is not relieving that officer, then also central government will be able to get that officer for the central service. This is the new. Definitely it is going against the state government consent, because in earlier rule there is requirement of state government consent, but now it is not. That is the first amendment. So presently what happened, officers have to get a no objection clearance from the state government for the central deputations. For example, if you are aware about, there was a earlier one, actually the dispute happened between central government and West Bengal government when Narendra Modi, the Prime Minister of India, visited the West Bengal to review this cyclone Yas, and at that time in the review meeting, Mamata Banerjee, the CM of West Bengal, was not present. At that moment, central government has asked the Chief Secretary, that is Alappan Bandyopadhyay, to immediately relieve from the state government and come to the central government, but he denied. He never went there because no objection clearance was not available from the West Bengal government. So currently he is fighting the case against the central government. So if this amendment happened, then even though without actually getting the no objection certificate, still the cadre officer need to go to the central government. This is the first amendment. The second amendment that they require is, central will decide the actual number of officers to be deputed to the central government. Earlier क्या था कि central and state government together will decide how many numbers of officers the state government need to send to the central staffing scheme for the deputation. But now central government will going to decide it, and the state will going to make eligible the names of such officers. Usually according to the existing norms, state have to depute all India service officers including the IPS and IFOS, but the total number of officers that state government is going to depute, okay, at the central level, there should not be more than 40% of the total cadre strength. For example, in one state like for example Karnataka, total 100 IAS officers are there, then not more than 40 IAS officers can be received by the central government. That means central government will not going to ask more than 40 IAS officers. But the thing is this, even those 40, they're not provided by the state government. So now central government will decide this number, but central government definitely will keep in mind number should not be more than 40% of the total cadre strength. Reason is this, then state government will going to suffer because there will be a shortage of IAS officers or all India service officers. This is the second amendment proposed. Third amendment was this, what if a disagreement happened? That means if state government is not ready, then so in case of any disagreement, matter shall be decided by whom? Central government, and state government concern shall give effect to that decisions. So now the power and authority went to the central government. Government will decide in case of disagreement. This is the third proposed amendment in the current rule. Currently what the things are, currently central government, state government together decide. Now central government will decide, and state government need to accept the decision given by the central government. And fourth amendment that's proposed change is this, during specific situations, okay, during very specific situation where service of cadre officer are required by the central government in public interest, state shall give effect to its decisions within a specified time. That means even though the name was not given under this central staffing scheme deputed reserve list, that name was not given. Suppose example officer A name was not given there, but if central government want that officer A during a specified time on this public interest matters, then central government will take that officer and state government need to relieve that officers. I quote already one example. That's West Bengal Chief Secretary Alappan Bandyopadhyay was asked by the central government to come to the central government office, but he never went there, even though and for example the name of this Alappan Bandyopadhyay was never on this central deputed reserve list. His name was not there, but central government has called. So if this fourth change happened, then he need to go there. So that is the fourth amendment is there. Even though if officer A has not given his name, still if central government wants, central can get that officers, even though it is against the consent of the state government. So these are the major 4 changes that proposed by the central government to the chief secretaries of the state, and hardly any state has given reply except those 6 states, those who opposed these amendments on the ground of cooperative federalism. Now, one more thing, why actually DoPT want this number of officers on this central staffing scheme? See, central staffing schemes is that schemes where actually we require, okay, officers basically at the level of director level, at the level of joint secretary level, and the level of deputy secretary level. Deputy secretary is the highest post here compared to director joint secretary is the highest post compared to the director or deputy secretary. So but since state is not sending, states they are not sending the officers there, they are not reserving IAS officers there, because of their here lot of vacancies are there. So that is the reason DoPT says that central deputation of officers is very low. For example, I am giving you the example. If we see the example Uttar Pradesh have around 500 Indian IAS officers there. Kitna hai? Uttar Pradesh having 500 IAS officers, but Uttar Pradesh data shows that only 32 IAS officers presently on the central deputations. See, out of 500 IAS officers in the Uttar Pradesh, only 32 IAS officers on the central deputation. That is too less number. Same, for example, if we go West Bengal is having total 280 IAS officers are there, but only 11 are posted on with the central ministries, only 11. Another example, like Bihar is having 32 IAS officers on the central deputations out of 208. So Bihar is having total 208 IAS officers, still 32 are there. That means even better than Uttar Pradesh. So Uttar Pradesh having 500 IAS officers and only 32 are deputed, and same 32 in Bihar also, but Bihar is having only 208 IAS officers. And when comes to Assam, Meghalaya cadre, in this 167 IAS officers are there, but 28 are under that deputation. Same, for example, Gujarat is having total 241 IAS officers, but 27 are posted with union government. Rajasthan is having 247 IAS officers, but 13 are deputed there. So see, very less number of officers are deputed by state government. So central deputation of officers are very low. It is already claimed by the DoPT, the controlling authority of the IAS officers. Now next thing is, what is the norms changed? Few, that means this is the first time it is happening, or central government has done earlier also something? Answer is yes, central government has done earlier also. Last year only, for example, to avoid this crisis, DoPT had changed the norms and made it mandatory for IAS officers from 2007 batch. Those officers who are from the 2007 batch, unke liye this one is mandatory, that serve for 2 years in central deputation. This is compulsory now. Earlier kya tha, I told you, I have given the example of Lappan Bandyopadhyay. He was never in this deputation list. He was never. Okay, even though he is the 1985 IAS officer, but he was never there. But now it is a compulsion from the 2007 IAS batch officers. Unko at least 2 years they need to work in the central deputations within first 16 years of their service if they wanted to be impaneled for a joint secretary rank in the future. If they need to be impaneled the joint secretary, then at least 2 years they need to work at the central level under central ministry in the first 16 years of their service. These norms have been changed last year only. Now, see, there is a shortage of IAS officers also. Aisa nahi, there is no shortage of IAS officers also. And that is the reason is even parliamentary panel also reported to the government that there is a need to increase the number of IAS officers. Then central government says that they are going to initiate plan to reduce the shortage of IAS officers. For example, authorized IAS officers we require 6699. That means this much number of IAS officers, it is authorized by the government. When this number of IAS we require, but what is the current strength is? Current IAS strength, especially on 1st January 2019, it is 5205, because this was actually disclosed by the parliamentary panel. Current IAS officer strength is only 5205. That means shortage is there. So shortage of IAS officers kitna ho gaya? 6699 minus if we do, then it will become 1494. Total 14 94 officers, we are less number of officers. Why this shortage is happening? Because every year we are taking not more than 180 IAS officers, and because of that reason is year by year this shortage is continuously increasing. This shortage is continuously increasing. So thank you for this particular video. If you like it, please share with your friends and don't forget to like and subscribe. Thank you everyone.